Hey, thanks for coming back. I had my hopes up. I'm glad I'm here to greet your interest. If you've watched and listened up to 279 videos, then wow, that's impressive. I'm surprised I've come this far, but the project has grown on me. It's helped me clarify issues I've been having in America. It's helping me name some important stuff. And I didn't realize how deep down the rabbit hole of racism I'd I'd lived. No, I won't even say descended. I was born there, and it's just been climb after climb after climb. And that's after I've had enough sense to stop digging my own hole because for some black folks like me, we're born into this dysfunction, and it's our natural inclination to dig the hole. We keep digging down and getting buried in it, and the soil from the walls are falling in on us. I've done a lot of blue collar work, and there's OSHA, the safety folks of industry. They have laws and policies in place that say, when you dig down so far into a hole, you have to have something called shoring. And shoring is just this. It's a wall you've brought along with you. You stick in the hole so you don't have a cave in and get buried alive. I've been in a couple of those holes, with the shoring there. It's cumbersome and all this and all that, but you know, so I stopped digging. At least I've stopped digging for a while compared to the way my life was oriented, and almost recent history. That's another story. But I'm seeing daylight. I believe I'm walking above ground. You know, maybe not participating in the American landscape as I'd really like to, but at least I understand some of the pitfalls, the tools and implements that I've used myself, that others use to keep me down, um, and not just a racism. Now I'm older, right? So this this says this communicates to young people that it should disqualify me, or I'm not physically able, or my mind has gone and stuff. That's what this young people see. I know that young people see that because that's what I used to see before my uh, beard here got gray. My mustache is hanging in there. I got a lot of salt and pepper around the edges. That's why I keep the cap on. Yeah, but they're wrong. My mind is sharper than it was when I was younger. Much more wisdom, control over my life, you know. But some young people have really jammed me up all around this, So the ageism, sexism. I was in a space where um, I worked with a lot of all white girls, and a few misunderstandings. They threw me under my they threw me under the bus real quick. I got all so scared and stuff, and talked amongst themselves and violated ground rules that we established as a group and stuff. All that went out the window when it came down for the rubber to meet the road. You know, it's all good. I believe in benevolent forces on my side. Um, I just have to do my part in doing the next right thing. So it's all good. Having said that, what if you are in the power group, power structure? If you get incensed by my message, or if you've heard about me, you know, or if this is the first video of mine you've watched, you know, or if you're just simply a well-to-do, most likely white person, man or woman, who really does not like that um, agencies, societies see you as privileged and insensitive to the plight of the disadvantaged in America, and that the disadvantaged in America is an ongoing thing, that it's intentional, that it's intentional that you are in a place of privilege, security, space, controlling your time, watching your interests flourish, grow, maximize. If you don't like that language, you're in the right place. Yes, you are, because, and if you're still listening, trust your gut, because truths come out here. I'm going to introduce you to some other resources that talk about these issues, I think, much more eloquently, succinctly than I can. This is just a personal project of mine under the pseudonym Tomlin's and Back. I don't know what comes up on the post or stuff like that, but that's just me playing on words. Anyway, the power mind. And the power mind is most likely white in general. There's plenty of black power minds and stuff like that. When I mean power mind, I mean you are of a group, you make a high dollar salary and stuff. And I'm not talking about you're so fine spiritually and you're in a good space. No, I'm talking about wealth of resources that you have, and how you get them, attain them, keep them, and stuff like that. Um, Ease of your bill payments and stuff like that. Also, I will say you will probably, especially if you have a sense of discipline in your identity, who you are, what you have, and all this, right? You know, it, that's, I think, a feature that really rounds out who you are in the world, that makes you of a privileged upper class, who the disadvantaged don't think you're taxed enough, that you don't participate and all that stuff, But I know maybe you provided jobs, you have a small business, medium business, and stuff like that. So you're justified in having employees, and you're doing your best. Okay, great. Having said that, where are you at realistically with yourself in all these issues? You know, on the flip side, the black mind. How you doing? Are you financially literate? Do you understand how your money's configured? Do you give? Um, I've been tithing. I've got a few more check stubs, and it's going to be a big tithe because you know I made a lot of money, and it's interesting. The tithe is a percentage. I won't go into you do your own giving as you will, but the tithe is a percentage. But then the percentage, that number gets bigger, and it does something mentally. So I've got to go through my journey, right? Because I'm not a rich person. I mean, if I was a millionaire, if I made it, Seven figures a year. Am I readily giving six figures of that away? Oh boy, you know what I mean. So, we'll see. I'm hoping, I'm aiming for that, multiple billions, you know, right? The, does the six figure tithe, is that doable? Um, am I that detached from money? Everybody's got to come to their own journey with that. Stay tuned. We'll see. But that's not just financial literacy, but how are you doing as a black person in America? Do you believe what you've heard over 200 some days? Have you checked in with Dr. Anderson and read some of his stuff? Um, or any other black um, community that's not hateful but affirmative in the black experience? Does that resonate with you at all? Or do you just entertain? Are you watching entertainment all day? Is entertainment the value of the life experience? What this all what life is about? Entertainment, right? Sports and entertainment, but not having real representation uh, in America's political landscape, not being represented to the world, to white nations. It's one thing to be a predominantly or exclusively white nation like Norway. I'm not expecting any black folks to represent Norway. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to be having an embassy in Norway from America, well, you better have some Hispanics, blacks, Italians, Jews, Hmong, Vietnamese, Japanese, Chinese, Russians. Everybody comes from the United States. Africans, huh? You better have a cross section of America to Norway. But if you only have white folks going there because you want to, uh, you want to be approachable, and all the sham um, excuses for keeping white folks there, you know, and not having Hispanics represent America to Norwegians, stuff like that, right? You see the hypocrisy of America? If you're black, you got to understand that, you know, we need, you know, we need more than LeBron James and Oprah Winfrey and some of these big stars that don't do any of that kind of work, just being black stars. We need some people with some ambassador experience. You know, heck, even Dennis Rodman was doing his best trying to reach out to North Korea, at least. That's what I'm talking about, though, right? At least that's a proper example of American ambassadorship. And we're going to get to that today. Uh, I'm going to come around it a long way around through justification of our leaders, how that relates to the economy, immigration, and landing on ambassadorship around the world. I'm inspired to do this work by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson. I was going through a period of time right at the beginning of last year, end of 2018, I kept running up against walls and stuff, and you keep repeating some mistakes, and you really want to get some answers. Well, some answers came from a friend and all that. The past videos have this story, but she introduced me to his videos. I've been hooked ever since, you know. So his name's Dr. Claude Anderson. Check him out. He's getting active. Again, he had some physical issues recently. So, but check him out. I got 3 of his works. A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice. And Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America. Powernomics. You can find Dr. Anderson at powernomics.com and here on YouTube. I think he's doing some Q&A videos now. So check him out. Behind me, you'll see the hashtag #US2 symbol, kind of response, Black women's response to the Me Too movement. And so you'll find Black women having their community, getting together, doing some great work there. Check out Black Enough, BLAGGENUF, kind of a Black Facebook experience. And check out Dr. Boyce Watkins at the Black Business School if you have an entrepreneurial spirit in your bones. It's a World Wide Web. Find your flavor. It's out there. Oh, and if not, do what I did, start your own. Do a little project. Go through the discipline of some long-term daily project. You want to learn a lot about yourself and the topic that you're expressing, whether you're baking cookies, being an athlete, actor, whatever. And finally, we're going to get back to this probably tomorrow. Story time. Uncle Tom's Cabin. Harriet Beecher Stowe's phenomenal work. I'd like to see a revival of that work. You know, and I've been toying with some ideas that I'm not going to make public here, but toying with some ideas to get some more energy and momentum behind her work because I think it's relevant today. It answers a lot of questions. Today, day 279, justification part 2. We call it justification because we talked about how do we deal with our leadership in America when the leadership's behavior is questionable, immoral, unacceptable, and all that, and do we justify that behavior just because we have a great economy, just because people are doing well? Well, something we talked about yesterday is, the well-to-do may mean that there's twice, 3 times, 4 times that number bad-to-do people struggling. The well-to-do represent a community, a group engaging in what's called gentrification. They're coming into communities, fixing it up and all that stuff. The infrastructure is already there, but they're moving out the population that does not have financial means to fend them off, right? So that's, somebody's having a good economy, but for that somebody that's having a good economy, up to 2, 3, 4 times as many people are not. Oh, America, you better get it together, because if it ever hits the fan, you're gonna find that you alienated the people who you want to be allies in a challenging time. In that atmosphere, we'll say good economy. At least we're not rioting for food on the streets and stuff like that. Or the people that aren't doing well are surviving, and we're good ways through winter. Uh, so we'll see. We'll see. Beginning of 2020 will bear out probably some more specifics about what homelessness and what um, hunger may do to larger, as it touches larger and larger groups. Fortunately, we have a lot of benevolent organizations and missions and stuff in America doing their best, food banks and things like that. I just saw, I think recently, Supreme Court at least did not ramp up pressure on homeless camping. So being homeless outside camping is still it's not under as much scrutiny. I remember when I went back to D.C. Well, I went back east to visit my mom, but I went to D.C. first, and near the hotel I was staying at was a camp, and the camp was right at this intersection in between some major streets, and this camp looked like it was locked in, big tents, and stuff. So that's fortunately coming into winter, people can still have some relative peace. Yeah, I remember when I was going to school this past semester, there were a couple tent enclaves as you got nearer downtown, and you're not going to find that kind of activity camping too far away from the major urban center, because the urban center is where food, medical care, the clinics and stuff like that are at. So it's not surprising to see the camps near the source of some sustenance and healthcare and possible shelter if you can humble yourself for a little while and go make some things happen. Uh, in that, this disparity, discrepancy, good economy, questionable leaders, and all this, we come to immigration. And so, we finished yesterday musing about, how is it these first, second, third generation individuals come to America and they are ambassadors. Oh, uh, they are senators, House representatives, and stuff like that, where um, the descendant of a black slave in America struggles. And we've got some representation in the House, definitely anyway. In January, I'll see if any black senator, invokes or claims that kind of heritage. Um, I can't think of one at the moment, but definitely had a few representatives in the House of Representatives of the United States of America. Those are the outliers, cream of the crop, and they may be what Dr. Anderson kind of indicates as the outliers of black folks, and black folks who are so immersed, working within the white favored system, that that they may be essentially agents for white communities and not necessarily representing black folks in their position in the House of Representatives, Senate, or anywhere else in government. I don't know. I wouldn't say definitively. I'm just saying Dr. Anderson at least wants us to do some critical thinking when you see a black person exercising that kind of congressional authority power, being there, who their allegiance is to, who they really supported and helped, and if they are really independent, able to move within their own consciousness, um, in that very complicated and powerful power structure, which is the American Congress. But it is common it's very common to hear these first, second, third generation Congress people, decorated military people, Purple Hearts, valid. Um, they've had valid experiences, taking bullets, shrapnel, fire, uh, for this country. I thank them for that service. But we wonder, how do their generals, they're not the enlisted folk. You know, these guys are decorated. It's like, well, I mean, we know you have to do some pretty intense legwork in the military to get to those positions. Yet, even in the military, do those kind of favors exist? You wonder. I wonder. Wow, how this white immigrant have this meteoric rise up to generalship and decorated colonel in, in the American uh, military service. Black longevity in the land does not correlate and equal success, is my argument. Thank you, military people. I've got military people in my family. I got my little stint in basic training and a little general discharge. I didn't do well in the Army. Same for ambassadors. Yeah, you had to go through a process to get to that level. But it doesn't, you got to, whoever you are, you got to see an issue. There's a problem if someone can land on America and may not even know the language and ascend where black folks were brought here for hundreds of years, along with the rep, being represented in America at the founding of this nation. But how come we are not having that same experience in America? Something to think about. And you need to keep hearing this. You've heard this a lot. If you watch Dr. Anderson, read his stuff, you're going to hear it. We got to hear it until we're convinced and motivated. I'm looking forward to a day where there's this huge black motivational revival and makes my message obsolete. Something that happened way back when. Until now, until then, you got to hear this. You've got to get it in your bones. Um, Dr. Anderson even has a little, he talks about his experience. And Dr. Anderson has friends and relationships with groups that challenge black advantage in America. He talks to Chinese folks and all that. Something you don't know is that some of these groups, these immigrants, are told not to engage with black folks. You know, like we're some kind of aberration on the land, um, to be avoided, like some kind of disease in America, right? Yeah, these are Dr. Anderson's words, his witness, his testimony about what he has seen and heard about immigrants coming to this country and how there are some agencies that tell them not to engage with black folks. Very sad. The mean starting salary, the average starting salary, the average salary, I won't say starting, average salary for an American ambassador is $125,000. That's just an internet ballpark figure. I believe it. Six figures. Come to this come to this country first, second, third generation. You want to be an ambassador and stuff like that. And you navigate that gauntlet. You get six figures plus whatever resources and support you get while over there. You probably have land ownership here, travel a lot, right? That was exposed in this whole Ukraine thing and all that. You listen for some of the stuff that's not said, and some of the mentions, and you tease at them a little bit. You see some interesting things. So there's a sadness here. Justification part two is, with all the things we've talked about that support this atmosphere that gives immigrants such an atmosphere, a season of favor, where um, they rise up so quickly and successfully, potently in the world. Very sad. That is that's a challenge. That's something we need to look at and consider. I'm over time. I'm going to get back to story time, but I wanted to talk about that stuff. Forgive me for using this to vent every once in a while, but these things are begin to weigh heavily on my chest as I see what is happening in America, how America navigates these things, and how America arrays some of this stuff back at me to keep me um, confined and at a disadvantage in this land where this is called land of the brave, home of the free, or land of the free, home of the brave. I got issues with our national anthem as well. Go Colin. I'm Thomas Nyback as day 279, 365 days towards racial change. And please come back tomorrow. Gonna get back into story time. Bye bye.